Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum, the refreshing, delicious treat that gives you chewing enjoyment, presents for your listening enjoyment John Lund as
Johnny Dollar.
Eric Carlson, Dollar.
Oh, hello, Mr. Carlson. What can I do for you?
If you're free, take an assignment.
Oh, I'm free.
action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Friends, the makers of Wrigley's Spearmint Gum present these weekly adventures of Johnny Dollar because they know that millions of you enjoy Johnny Dollar. That's true of Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum, too. It's enjoyed by millions, day in and day out. People find that chewing on a smooth, delicious piece of Wrigley's Spearmint Gum somehow makes time pass more pleasantly. Whether you're working, driving, shopping, or just taking things easy, that good, tasty chewing gives you enjoyment and satisfaction. So always keep a package of Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum handy. And whenever you want a refreshing, delicious treat, chew a stick. You'll like it. You really will.
Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Home Office, Atlas Indemnity Company, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures during my investigation of the independent diamond traders matter. Expense account item 1, $21.30, train fare and incidentals between Hartford and New York City. At Grand Central, I phoned the Independent Diamond Traders Association and was told by the secretary that E.G. Moss could see me in half an hour. Outside, the city was being powdered clean and white by a late afternoon snowfall, so I indulged in the luxury of a stroll to the association's 47th Street headquarters. They were on the second floor of a converted brownstone. I was a few minutes early when I entered the dingy, deserted reception room. The secretary was absent from her desk, but the boss's door had been carelessly left ajar, just enough to allow some strictly extracurricular business to filter out.
Susan, I'm sick to death of the name. She runs your life, Edgar, like she runs this office.
But, dearest.
Why the traders ever elected you their president, I can't imagine. A man who can't even protect his own interests against a selfish snip of a stepdaughter.
That is enough, Mona.
Just as you say. Goodbye.
Dearest, please, no, I didn't mean
Let
that.
me go.
Mona, I spoke in haste. Dearest,
Edgar.
forgive me.
Edgar, my makeup.
Say you will forgive me.
Perhaps later.
Now.
Edgar, please. My hair, I'll look a wreck.
But I can't let you go like this. Anger between us.
Then meet me tonight as you
A very astute observation. Now, maybe you'd construct me a nice bourbon and... Hey, suddenly the horizon brightens.
You mean that redhead standing in the foyer?
Very decorative.
No hobby for a man with a weak constitution.
You know her?
Oh, she comes in now and then.
Seems to be looking for someone. You know who?
I imagine you.
What?
Her name's Mona.
Oh, why didn't you say so sooner? Hello, Mona.
Hello.
I'm Johnny Dollar.
Yes, I know. I saw you at the bar.
Well, why didn't you come over? Or are you waiting for someone else?
Just you, Johnny. My car's outside. Let's drive somewhere.
Well, this is my first ride in a Mercedes. Sounds like there's a captive